In Japan's Taisho era, long ago, there were whispers that demons roamed the land after sunset. They hid in the darkness, feeding on humans, leaving fear wherever they passed. Most people believed these stories were nothing more than legends. But for one family living deep in the mountains, those legends would soon become reality. Tanjiro Kamado is a kind and hard-working boy who lives with his mother and siblings in a small mountain home. His father has passed away, leaving Tanjiro as the eldest son and the one responsible for supporting the family. Every day, he travels down the mountain to sell charcoal in the nearby town, returning home before nightfall. Life is difficult, but warm. Despite poverty, the Kamado household is filled with laughter and love. Life in the mountains is harsh, especially during winter. The Kamado family lives far from the city, relying on firewood and charcoal to survive. Every task requires effort. Every meal is earned through hard work. Tanjiro understands this better than anyone. Though still young, he carries the weight of responsibility without complaint. He believes that protecting his family is his duty. And as long as they can smile together, no hardship feels too heavy to bear. Tanjiro is known in the village for his honesty and gentle heart. He never turns away someone in need. And though his life is simple, he possesses a remarkable sense of smell, sharp enough to detect emotions, danger, and even death. One winter evening, after finishing his sales, Tanjiro prepares to head home. But as the sun sets, a local man stops him. He warns Tanjiro not to travel the mountain at night. Demons appear after dark, he says. Reluctantly, Tanjiro stays the night in the village, unaware that this small delay will save his life. The next morning, Tanjiro rushes back home through the snow. As he approaches his house, a strange scent reaches his nose. It is thick, heavy, the smell of blood. Panic overwhelms him. He drops his charcoal and runs. What he finds shatters his world. His family lies slaughtered, their bodies scattered across the snow-covered ground. The home that once echoed with warmth is now silent. Tanjiro collapses, unable to scream, unable to breathe, unable to understand what has happened. Then he hears it. A faint sound. Nezuko, his younger sister. She is still alive, clinging to hope. Tanjiro lifts her onto his back and begins running down the mountain, desperate to find help. But with every step, her body grows heavier. Suddenly, Nezuko attacks him. Her eyes are different. Her strength is no longer human. Nezuko has been turned into a demon. As Tanjiro struggles to protect himself without harming her, a swordsman appears. His name is Ju Tomioka, a demon slayer. Seeing Nezuko, Ju prepares to strike her down. To him, demons deserve no mercy. Tanjiro throws himself in front of his sister, begging, crying, swearing that Nezuko is still human. Still family. In that moment, Nezuko does something unexpected. Instead of attacking, she protects Tanjiro from Ju's blade. Ju pauses, and for the first time, he witnesses a demon resisting its instincts. He spares Nezuko's life and tells Tanjiro the truth. Demons were once human. And if Tanjiro wants to save his sister, he must walk the path of the Demon Slayer. With those words, Ju disappears into the forest. Tanjiro looks at Nezuko. His family is gone. His world is broken. But his resolve is born. No matter the cost, he will protect his sister, and he will fight the demons who took everything from him. Tanjiro continues his journey down the mountain, carrying Nezuko inside a bamboo basket on his back. Though she has become a demon, she sleeps quietly, restrained so she cannot harm anyone. The road ahead is long, and Tanjiro's body is already exhausted. But his resolve is firm. He remembers Ju's words. There is someone he must find. A man named Sakanji Urokodaki, living at the foot of Mount Sagiri. As Tanjiro walks, the world around him feels different. Every sound seems sharper. Every scent heavier. Fear lingers in the air, but he keeps moving forward. Night begins to fall, and with it comes danger. On the road, Tanjiro encounters a man collapsed on the ground, badly injured. The smell of blood is strong. The man has clearly been attacked by a demon. Despite knowing the risk, Tanjiro rushes to help him. He offers support and tries to carry him to safety. Even after losing his family, Tanjiro's kindness has not disappeared. Suddenly, Tanjiro senses something behind them. A foul presence. A demon emerges from the darkness, grinning with confidence. It mocks Tanjiro, calling him weak and foolish for protecting others. The demon is fast. Too fast. Tanjiro has no sword. No training. No way to fight back. The demon attacks. In that instant, Nezuko awakens. She bursts free from the basket, her eyes glowing with inhuman power. With a single kick, she sends the demon flying. The force of her strength shocks everyone present. The demon cannot believe what it is seeing. A demon protecting a human. Nezuko positions herself in front of Tanjiro, shielding him. Her instincts scream for blood, but she resists. Memories of her family surface in her mind. The warmth of home. Her mother's voice. Her brother's kindness. The demon attempts to tempt her, offering human flesh. Nezuko trembles, her body shaking as she struggles against her nature. Then, she turns away. She chooses Tanjiro. Seizing the moment, Tanjiro acts. Using his sharp sense of smell, he predicts the demon's movements. He lures it into an open area, stalling for time. As the sun begins to rise, light pierces through the trees. The demon panics. Its body burns under the sunlight, screaming as it crumbles into ash. The battle ends. The injured man survives. Shaken but alive, he thanks Tanjiro and quickly leaves. Tanjiro turns to Nezuko, overwhelmed with emotion. Once again, she has proven that she is still his sister. Soon after, Tanjiro arrives at the base of Mount Sagiri. Thick mist covers the mountain, and an eerie silence fills the air. This is where Sakanji Urokodaki lives. A former demon slayer, known for training those who wish to fight demons. A masked man appears from the fog. Urokodaki listens to Tanjiro's story without interruption. When Tanjiro finishes, Urokodaki offers no comfort. Instead, he tests him. If Tanjiro truly wishes to become a demon slayer, he must survive the night on the mountain. Leaving Nezuko behind, Tanjiro steps into the mist alone. The forest is filled with traps. And demons. His real trial has just begun. Tanjiro steps into the misty forest of Mount Sagiri, leaving Nezuko behind. The air is cold and heavy. Visibility is low, and every sound echoes through the trees. This mountain is not a place meant for humans. It is filled with danger, and Tanjiro can feel it with every breath. Sakanji Urokodaki has given him no weapon. No guidance. Only a single condition. If Tanjiro cannot survive the night, he is unfit to become a demon slayer. Alone and untrained, Tanjiro moves forward, relying only on his instincts and his sharp sense of smell. Before long, Tanjiro senses something ahead. A presence lurking in the darkness. Suddenly, a demon lunges at him from the trees. Tanjiro barely escapes, falling into a trap hidden beneath the forest floor. He tumbles down a slope, injured but alive. As he regains his footing, the mountain reveals its true nature. Traps are everywhere. Pitfalls. Swinging logs. Blades hidden in the mist. Urokodaki has turned the mountain itself into a trial. Tanjiro realizes that surviving here requires more than strength. It requires awareness. Using his sense of smell, Tanjiro begins to detect danger before it strikes. He learns to read the flow of air, the tension in the ground, and the faint scent of traps nearby. Step by step, he adapts. Slowly, he begins to survive. The night deepens. And the demons come. Multiple demons surround Tanjiro, their movements erratic and cruel. He is terrified, but he does not run blindly. He remembers his family. He remembers Nezuko waiting for him below. That thought keeps him standing. Tanjiro uses the traps against the demons, luring them into pitfalls and swinging blades. He is not fighting to win. He is fighting to endure. To last until morning. At the edge of exhaustion, Tanjiro encounters a young boy trapped in the mountain. The boy is terrified, unable to move. Without hesitation, Tanjiro risks his own life to protect him, drawing the demons away. Even in fear, Tanjiro cannot abandon someone in need. As dawn approaches, the demons retreat, consumed by the coming sunlight. The forest grows quiet once more. Tanjiro collapses to the ground, battered and barely conscious, but alive. Morning has come. Sakanji Urokodaki appears. He observes the scene in silence. Tanjiro has survived the night. More than that, he protected another human without hesitation. Urokodaki recognizes something rare. A heart strong enough to bear the weight of the Demon Slayer path. Urokodaki accepts Tanjiro as his student. Training will begin. It will be harsh, painful, and relentless. But Tanjiro has taken his first true step forward. The boy who once sold charcoal has begun his transformation. The journey to save Nezuko has truly begun. Tanjiro wakes to the sound of rushing water. His body aches, every muscle sore from the night before. He has survived Mount Sajiri. Standing before him is Sakanji Urokodaki, the masked swordsman who designed the trial. Without ceremony, Urokodaki confirms the result. Tanjiro has passed. From this moment on, his training will begin. The days that follow are relentless. Urokodaki trains Tanjiro from morning until night. He teaches him discipline, breathing, and swordsmanship. Every movement must be precise. Every mistake is punished. Tanjiro's body is pushed beyond its limits. He falls. He rises. Again and again, training on the mountain is brutal. Tanjiro runs across uneven terrain, carrying heavy loads. He swings his sword until his arms shake. At night, he collapses from exhaustion. Yet each morning, he stands up once more. His resolve never wavers. Nezuko remains nearby, sleeping peacefully inside her box. Though she is a demon, she never harms humans. Instead, she enters a deep sleep, conserving her strength. Urokodaki observes her carefully. He begins to believe that Nezuko may truly be different. Months pass. Then years. Tanjiro's skills slowly sharpen. His breathing grows steadier. His strikes become cleaner. But Urokodaki knows this is not enough. One day, he leads Tanjiro to a massive boulder resting on the mountain. Without explanation, Urokodaki issues a final challenge. Tanjiro must slice the boulder in half. The task seems impossible. Day after day, Tanjiro swings his sword, only to fail. His blade leaves shallow marks, but the rock remains unmoved. Doubt begins to creep into his heart. He wonders if his efforts will ever be enough. During one of these attempts, Tanjiro encounters two mysterious children. A boy named Sabito, and a girl named Makomo. They criticize his technique, pointing out his flaws. Though harsh, their words carry truth. Under their guidance, Tanjiro begins to understand what he has been missing. His stance improves. His breathing deepens. He learns to focus not on strength alone, but on flow and timing. Slowly, his sword begins to change. His movements grow sharper. More confident, seasons pass on the mountain. Snow melts. Flowers bloom. Tanjiro continues to train without pause. Each swing of his blade carries his memories. His family. His promise. Nezuko waiting below. At last, the moment comes. With a calm breath, Tanjiro steps forward and swings his sword with everything he has learned. The blade cuts cleanly through the air. The boulder splits in two. Urokodaki appears in silence. There is no praise. No celebration. Only acknowledgement. Tanjiro has completed his training. Now, he is ready for the next step. The final selection awaits. Tanjiro arrives at the foot of Mount Fuji-Kaisen, where the final selection is about to begin. The mountain is covered in wisteria flowers, their scent spreading through the night air. These flowers keep demons away, but only near the entrance. Once the test begins, that protection disappears. Around Tanjiro stand dozens of young swordsmen, each with their own fear, hope, and determination. Some look confident. Others are clearly terrified. Everyone here has trained for this moment, knowing that many will not survive. A masked guide appears and explains the rules. The final selection will last 7 nights. Anyone who survives until dawn on the final day will be accepted into the DemonSlayer Corps. There are no other rules. No help will come. No one will save them. The demons on this mountain are those captured alive, too strong or too dangerous for beginners. As the explanation ends, the gates open. Without hesitation, the candidates rush inside, their figures swallowed by darkness. Tanjiro steps onto the mountain and immediately feels the change. The air is heavy. The forest is silent. Every sound feels sharp and dangerous. Remembering Urokodaki's training, he calms his breathing and focuses. Soon, he senses something wrong. A demon lunges from the shadows, its claws tearing through the air. Tanjiro reacts on instinct, drawing his blade and striking. The fight is clumsy, but his training carries him through. When the demon falls, Tanjiro stands still, shaking, realizing this is only the beginning. As the night continues, screams echo through the forest. Tanjiro encounters other demons, each stronger and faster than the last. He begins to understand the true purpose of this test. It is not about skill alone, but about endurance, awareness, and the will to keep moving forward even when fear takes over. He saves a wounded boy from a demon attack, cutting the creature down just in time. The boy thanks him before fleeing into the darkness, desperate to survive on his own. Deeper in the forest, Tanjiro senses something far more terrifying. A massive demon appears, its body twisted and unnatural. It has consumed countless humans, growing stronger over many years. The demon recognizes the earrings Tanjiro wears and suddenly becomes enraged. It remembers a man from long ago, a swordsman who nearly killed it. That memory fills the demon with hatred. Laughing, it attacks, confident that this boy will die like all the others. The battle is brutal. Tanjiro is thrown through trees, barely able to stand. The demon's strength is overwhelming, and fear begins to creep into his mind. But then Tanjiro remembers his family. He remembers Nezuko. He remembers Urokodaki's words. Steady your breathing. Trust your training. Even if your body screams to stop, move forward. With renewed focus, Tanjiro steadies himself and prepares for another strike, knowing that retreat is not an option. As dawn slowly approaches, the forest remains filled with danger. Tanjiro continues to fight, pushing his body beyond its limits. Blood stains his clothes, and exhaustion weighs heavily on his limbs. Yet he does not stop. Every demon defeated brings him one step closer to survival. When the sun finally rises, the demons retreat or burn away, and the mountain grows quiet once more. Tanjiro survives the first night of the final selection. But he knows the test has only just begun. 6 more nights remain, and the mountain will not show mercy. Night falls again on Mount Fuji-Kaisane. The second night of the final selection begins, and the forest grows restless. Tanjiro moves carefully through the darkness, every sense alert. His body is already sore from the first night, but he forces himself to keep going. The air is thick with the smell of blood and fear. Somewhere nearby, another battle is taking place, and Tanjiro knows hesitation could mean death. Suddenly, a terrified scream cuts through the forest. Tanjiro runs toward the sound and finds 2 young boys cornered by a demon. One of them is badly injured, barely able to stand. Without thinking, Tanjiro steps in front of them and draws his sword. The demon sneers, mocking his hesitation, then attacks. Tanjiro breathes deeply, remembering his training, and strikes. The fight is short but intense. When the demon falls, Tanjiro immediately turns his attention to the wounded boy. The injured boy is shaking, his breathing shallow. Tanjiro tears a piece of his clothing to bandage the wound, doing what he can to stop the bleeding. The boy begs him not to leave. Tanjiro hesitates. Staying means greater danger, but abandoning them feels wrong. He decides to guide them toward a safer area near the wisteria flowers, hoping they can survive until morning. As they move through the forest, another presence emerges. A demon appears, calm and cruel, its movements deliberate. Unlike the others, this demon toys with its prey. It attacks Tanjiro with terrifying speed, forcing him onto the defensive. Tanjiro struggles to keep his balance while protecting the boys behind him. Every mistake brings the demon closer to killing them all. The battle becomes desperate. Tanjiro's sword arm feels heavy, and his breathing begins to falter. In a moment of panic, he trips, leaving himself wide open. The demon lunges forward, ready to strike the final blow. At that instant, Tanjiro remembers Urokodaki's voice. Control your breathing. Calm your heart. Trust yourself. He steadies his breath, regains his footing, and counters with everything he has left. The demon is defeated, but Tanjiro collapses to his knees, exhausted. One of the boys helps him stand, gratitude clear in his eyes. Before they part ways, Tanjiro urges them to survive and reach dawn. Watching them disappear into the darkness, he feels a strange mix of relief and guilt. He cannot save everyone, but he can keep trying. Elsewhere on the mountain, other candidates are fighting their own battles. Some fall. Others barely cling to life. The final selection shows no mercy, and the mountain continues to claim victims. Tanjiro presses on alone once more, his body screaming in pain, his mind heavy with fear. Yet he does not stop. Every step forward is a promise to his family and to Nezuko. As the night deepens, Tanjiro encounters more demons. Some are savage, attacking without thought. Others speak, mocking humans and their weakness. Each battle drains him further, but his movements grow sharper, more controlled. Slowly, his training begins to take hold under real combat. When dawn finally breaks, sunlight pierces through the trees. Demons caught in the open scream as their bodies burn away. Tanjiro leans against a tree, barely able to stand, but still alive. He has survived another night. Looking at the rising sun, he realizes something important. Strength alone will not carry him through this trial. Compassion, resolve, and the will to protect others are just as vital. The final selection continues. And Tanjiro prepares himself for the nights yet to come. The final selection continues, and the mountain grows quieter with each passing night. Fewer voices remain. Fewer footsteps echo through the forest. Tanjiro moves forward alone, his body worn down by exhaustion. Every muscle aches, and his breathing feels heavy, but he refuses to stop. He understands now that hesitation is deadly. On this mountain, only those who keep moving will survive. As another night begins, Tanjiro senses something different ahead. The air feels thick, warped by an overwhelming presence. Stepping into a clearing, he comes face to face with a monstrous demon. Its body is grotesque and swollen, the result of devouring countless humans over many years. The demon speaks calmly, almost proudly, mocking the demon slayers who failed to kill it. When it notices Tanjiro's earrings, its expression twists with rage. Memories surface of a swordsman from long ago, a man who nearly ended its life. The demon attacks with terrifying force. Tanjiro is thrown across the ground, barely able to defend himself. Each blow shakes his body, and the difference in strength is undeniable. Fear creeps into his mind as his sword grows heavier with every swing. The demon laughs, confident that this boy will die like the others. Pain surges through Tanjiro's body, threatening to overwhelm him. In that moment, memories flood back. The endless training on the mountain. The harsh voice of Urokodaki correcting his stance. The cold nights, the falls, the failures. And above all, the faces of his family. Nezuko waiting for him. Steadying his breath, Tanjiro forces his fear aside. He slows his breathing, letting his movements become deliberate and controlled. The battle turns into a test of endurance. Tanjiro dodges narrowly, countering when he can, searching desperately for an opening. Blood runs down his face, his vision blurring. His legs tremble, threatening to collapse beneath him. Still, he refuses to give in. Even if his body breaks, he will not stop gathering every ounce of strength he has left. Tanjiro commits to a final attack. His blade moves with precision born from training and resolve. The strike lands. The demon lets out a furious scream as its body begins to crumble, finally turning to ash. The forest falls silent once more. Tanjiro drops to his knees, barely conscious. His body is pushed beyond its limits, but he is alive. Slowly, the darkness fades as dawn approaches. Sunlight pierces through the trees, burning away any demons still hiding in the shadows. When the final selection ends, the surviving candidates gather near the mountain's entrance. Many are missing. The cost of survival is clear in every empty space. Tanjiro stands among them, exhausted, wounded, but standing. He has endured fear, pain, and death itself. The path ahead is still long, but this moment marks his first true step toward becoming a Demon Slayer. The final selection reaches its final night. On Mount Fujikaisen, the forest feels almost empty now. Too many lives have already been lost. Tanjiro moves forward slowly, every step heavy with exhaustion. His body is covered in wounds, his breathing unsteady, yet his eyes remain focused. He knows that if he can endure just a little longer, this nightmare will finally end. The night is eerily quiet. No screams echo through the trees. No sudden attacks break the silence. Tanjiro senses only faint traces of demons, hiding, weakened by the approaching dawn. Even so, he does not lower his guard. He has learned that the mountain shows no mercy until the very end. As he walks, memories return uninvited. Faces of those who did not survive. Fear in their eyes. Desperation in their voices. Tanjiro tightens his grip on his sword. He tells himself that their deaths cannot be meaningless. If he survives, he must become strong enough to protect others, so no one else has to die like this. A sudden movement breaks his thoughts. A demon lunges from the shadows, desperate and enraged. It is weaker than the others he has faced, but still dangerous. Tanjiro reacts instantly. Despite his fatigue, his body moves almost on its own. With controlled breathing and precise footwork, he ends the fight in a single strike. The demon dissolves into ash, scattered by the wind. As dawn approaches, the remaining demons retreat deeper into the forest or hide underground, clinging to life for a few more moments. Tanjiro leans against a tree, struggling to stay upright. His vision blurs, and his legs threaten to give out. He forces himself to remain conscious, knowing that collapse before sunrise could still mean death. Finally, the first rays of sunlight pierce through the canopy. The forest changes instantly. Screams fill the air as demons caught in the open burn away. Their bodies crumble, leaving nothing behind. Tanjiro watches in silence, his chest rising and falling as he takes shallow breaths. The long nights are over soon. The survivors are called to gather near the entrance of the mountain. Tanjiro makes his way there, each step a battle against exhaustion. When he arrives, he sees how few remain. The group that once filled the clearing has been reduced to a handful. The absence of so many faces weighs heavily on his heart. Two masked guides appear and announce the end of the final selection. Those who stand here now have survived. They are officially accepted into the Demon Slayer Corps. As the words sink in, relief washes over Tanjiro. He has made it. Against fear, pain, and overwhelming odds, he has survived. A crow lands nearby and delivers further instructions. Each new Demon Slayer will soon receive a uniform and a special sword, one forged to kill demons. Tanjiro listens carefully, committing every word to memory. This is no longer training. From now on, every battle will be real. As the survivors begin to leave the mountain, Tanjiro looks back one last time. Mount Fujikaisen stands silent, hiding the countless deaths that occurred beneath its wisteria-covered slopes. He silently promises never to forget what happened here. The final selection has taught him the true cost of this path. With renewed determination, Tanjiro steps forward. His journey as a Demon Slayer has officially begun. And somewhere out there, Nezuko is waiting for him. After the final selection ends, Tanjiro begins his journey home. His body is battered and exhausted, but his heart feels strangely calm. The mountain that tested him so brutally now lies behind him. With each step forward, he reminds himself that surviving was only the beginning. Becoming a true demon slayer will demand far more. Along the road, Tanjiro senses a familiar presence. Hidden among the trees, Nezuko watches him closely. The moment Tanjiro calls out, she steps into the open, her expression gentle but cautious. Seeing her safe fills him with relief. He tells her that he has passed the final selection and is now officially part of the Demon Slayer Corps. Nezuko listens quietly, her eyes focused on him, as if trying to understand the weight of his words. They continue traveling together, moving carefully to avoid drawing attention. Though Nezuko was a demon, she remains peaceful, protecting Tanjiro instead of harming humans. Tanjiro reflects on how fragile their situation is. If others discover Nezuko's existence, they may try to kill her without hesitation. This thought strengthens his resolve to grow stronger, fast enough to protect her from both demons and humans alike. Soon, a strange scent reaches Tanjiro's nose. It is sharp, unnatural, and filled with hostility. He stops immediately, placing himself in front of Nezuko. A demon emerges, its movements erratic and violent. Unlike the demons on the mountain, this one is reckless, driven by hunger rather than pride. It charges toward them without warning. Tanjiro reacts on instinct. Despite his exhaustion, his training takes over. He positions himself carefully, controlling his breathing as he draws his sword. The clash is brief but intense. The demon lashes out wildly, but Tanjiro remains focused, reading its movements. With a clean strike, he cuts it down, watching as the body dissolves into ash. After the fight, Tanjiro checks on Nezuko, relieved to see she is unharmed. The encounter reminds him that danger will now appear without warning. There will be no protected mountain, no rules, and no instructors watching over him. From this point on, every battle will be real. As they continue down the road, Tanjiro looks ahead toward the unknown. He does not know what missions await him or how powerful his future enemies will be. But one thing is clear. He will walk this path without hesitation. For his family. For Nezuko. And for everyone who cannot protect themselves, the journey of a demon slayer has truly begun. Tanjiro and Nezuko arrive in Asakusa, a bustling city filled with lights, noise, and the scent of countless people. For Tanjiro, the place feels overwhelming. After so long spent fighting in darkness and silence, the lively streets seem unreal. Nezuko walks beside him, carefully observing her surroundings, her bamboo muzzle hidden beneath a cloak. As they move through the crowded streets, Tanjiro senses something familiar. A smell he will never forget. His body tenses instantly. It is the scent of a demon, unlike any other he has encountered. Cold. Powerful. Terrifying. Without warning, Tanjiro locks onto the source and begins pushing through the crowd, his heart pounding with urgency. Suddenly, Tanjiro collides with a man walking calmly through the street. In that instant, he realizes the truth. This man is the source of the scent. Pale skin. Sharp eyes. A presence that overwhelms everything around him. This is no ordinary demon. This is Muzan Kibutsuji, the progenitor of all demons. Before Tanjiro can react, Muzan calmly transforms a nearby man into a demon, using him as a distraction. Chaos erupts. The newly turned demon attacks civilians, and panic spreads through the streets. Muzan disappears into the crowd without a trace, leaving Tanjiro frozen between rage and responsibility. Tanjiro chooses without hesitation. He cannot chase Muzan while innocent people are in danger. He turns to stop the rampaging demon, protecting the civilians as best he can. The fight is frantic and messy, constrained by the crowded streets. Tanjiro struggles to land a clean strike without harming anyone nearby. Just as the situation grows dire, two strangers appear. One is a refined woman with a calm voice. The other is a man with sharp eyes and an intimidating presence. They help restrain the demon and quietly guide Tanjiro and Nezuko away from the chaos. Their movements are precise and practiced, suggesting long experience with demons. The woman introduces herself as Tamayo, a demon who has broken free from Muzan's control. She explains that she now seeks a cure for demonhood. Her companion, Yashiro, watches Tanjiro suspiciously, clearly distrustful of humans. Despite this, Tamayo offers her help, intrigued by Nezuko's unusual condition. In a hidden room, Tamayo examines Nezuko carefully. She confirms that Nezuko is unlike any demon she has ever seen. Nezuko does not feed on humans, and her body resists Muzan's influence. This revelation gives Tanjiro hope. If Nezuko can remain herself, then perhaps a cure truly exists. Tamayo reveals that she can create a drug using Muzan's blood, one that may one day turn demons back into humans. But obtaining that blood is extremely dangerous. Tanjiro clenches his fists, knowing exactly who possesses it. Muzan. The enemy he just encountered and failed to stop. As night deepens over Asakusa, Tanjiro reflects on the encounter. He was face to face with the demon responsible for everything he has lost, yet he was powerless to stop him. The frustration burns inside his chest. Still, this meeting has given him something he lacked before. Information. Allies. And hope. Tanjiro swears silently that he will grow stronger. Strong enough to face Muzan again. Strong enough to protect Nezuko. And strong enough to end the suffering caused by demons once and for all. Night settles over Asakusa, but danger has not passed. Tanjiro remains inside Tamayo's hidden clinic, his mind still racing from the encounter with Muzan. The image of that calm, merciless face refuses to leave his thoughts. He came closer to his greatest enemy than ever before, yet was completely powerless to act. The frustration weighs heavily on him. Tamayo speaks gently, explaining more about demons and Muzan's control over them. She describes how his blood binds demons to his will, filling them with fear and obedience. Breaking free from that control is nearly impossible. Nezuko's existence, however, defies everything Tamayo knows. This gives her hope that a cure may truly be possible. Hearing this, Tanjiro feels a renewed sense of purpose. Nezuko is not just his sister. She may be the key to saving others as well. Suddenly, a sharp crash echoes through the building. Yashiro senses it immediately. Demons are approaching. Muzan has sent subordinates to silence Tamayo and erase anyone who might oppose him. Tanjiro grips his sword, stepping forward without hesitation. This time, he will fight not just to survive, but to protect those who offer hope. The clinic is attacked by two powerful demons. One moves with unnatural speed, her body twisting through the air like living threads. The other is massive and violent, smashing through walls with brute force. The battle begins instantly. Tanjiro rushes outside, drawing the agile demon away to prevent harm to civilians. The narrow streets of Asakusa become a battlefield once more. The demon taunts Tanjiro, mocking his weakness and his failure to stop Muzan. Her movements are fast and unpredictable, forcing Tanjiro onto the defensive. Each attack pushes him closer to his limits. He struggles to keep up, his breathing uneven, his focus slipping. For a moment, fear threatens to take control. Remembering his training, Tanjiro steadies himself. He adjusts his breathing, calming his racing heart. Slowly, the world sharpens around him. He begins to read the demon's movements, sensing the flow of each attack. With careful timing, he counters, landing precise strikes that force her back. The fight turns into a deadly dance, one mistake away from death. Inside the clinic, Tamayo and Yashiro face their own battle. The larger demon charges relentlessly, laughing as it destroys everything in its path. Yashiro uses his abilities to confuse and restrain the demon, while Tamayo prepares a powerful drug using her blood. She injects the demon, weakening it and disrupting Muzan's control. For the first time, the creature hesitates, its rage faltering. Outside, Tanjiro pushes himself beyond exhaustion. His body screams in protest, but he refuses to stop. With a final burst of resolve, he unleashes a decisive strike, severing the demon's head. She lets out a final cry before crumbling into ash, her existence erased under the city lights, the battle ends almost as suddenly as it began. As dawn approaches, the streets of Asakusa grow quiet once more. Tanjiro returns to the clinic, battered and breathing heavily. Tamayo and Yashiro have survived. Though shaken, they stand firm, their resolve unbroken. Tamayo thanks Tanjiro for protecting them and entrusts him with a mission. If he encounters demons connected to Muzan, he must collect their blood. It may bring them one step closer to creating a cure. Tanjiro accepts without hesitation. This task brings him closer to his goal than ever before. As Tanjiro and Nezuko prepare to leave Asakusa, Tanjiro looks back at the city one last time. He has faced Muzan's shadow and lived. The road ahead remains dangerous, but he is no longer walking it alone. With allies, determination, and hope, Tanjiro continues forward, ready to face whatever darkness awaits. Leaving Asakusa behind, Tanjiro and Nezuko continue their journey under the cover of night. The city lights fade into the distance, replaced by quiet roads and open fields. Though exhausted from the recent battles, Tanjiro remains alert. He knows the danger can appear anywhere, without warning. The road of a demon slayer offers no peace. Soon, Tanjiro encounters a fellow swordsman. The boy trembles with fear, clutching his sword but barely able to stand. He introduces himself as Zenitsu Agatsuma, another survivor of the final selection. Despite holding a blade, Zenitsu is terrified of demons and begs Tanjiro not to leave him alone. Tanjiro senses no malice in him, only overwhelming fear. Reluctantly, he agrees to travel together, hoping to keep Zenitsu safe. Their path leads them to a lonely house standing in the middle of a forest. From inside, faint sounds echo, unsettling and unnatural. A local man explains that strange noises come from the house every night, and people who enter never return. Tanjiro immediately recognizes the danger. A demon is inside. Without hesitation, he prepares to investigate, while Zenitsu panics, clinging to him in terror. Tanjiro enters the house, Nezuko following closely behind. The interior feels distorted, as if the space itself is unstable. Almost instantly, Tanjiro senses movement. A demon lurks within, its presence warped and hostile. As Tanjiro advances, the walls suddenly rotate, throwing him off balance. Rooms twist and shift, disorienting him completely. This demon controls the house itself. Separated from Tanjiro, Zenitsu screams in panic. His fear reaches its peak when he encounters another demon hiding within the shifting rooms. Frozen by terror, he cannot even draw his sword. His body shakes uncontrollably as the demon approaches, mocking his weakness. Just as all hope seems lost, Zenitsu collapses, losing consciousness from sheer fear. In that instant, something changes. Even while asleep, Zenitsu's body moves on its own. His breathing becomes steady and controlled. Drawing his sword with perfect form, he releases a powerful strike in a flash of lightning-like speed. The demon is defeated in a single blow, vanishing into ash before it can react. Elsewhere in the house, Tanjiro faces the drum demon directly. The demon's body is covered in drums, each strike altering the structure of the house. With every beat, the rooms rotate violently, slamming Tanjiro into walls and floors. Fighting while disoriented, Tanjiro struggles to maintain balance. Yet he does not retreat. He focuses on his breathing, adapting to the shifting environment with each movement. The battle intensifies as Tanjiro studies the rhythm of the drums. Slowly, he begins to predict the changes, timing his movements between rotations. With Nezuko's help, he closes the distance. The demon grows desperate, pounding the drums wildly in a final attempt to overwhelm him. But Tanjiro presses forward, ignoring the pain. With a final, perfectly timed strike, Tanjiro decapitates the demon. The drums fall silent. The house returns to normal, the twisted space collapsing back into stillness. The threat is gone. As the dust settles, Tanjiro finds Zenitsu unconscious but alive. When Zenitsu awakens, he has no memory of the battle, only his fear and confusion. Tanjiro smiles gently, choosing not to tell him what truly happened. Outside, dawn approaches. Tanjiro reflects on the battle. Every mission brings new dangers, new allies, and new tests of resolve. The path ahead is unpredictable, but Tanjiro knows one thing for certain. No matter how terrifying the enemy, he will continue forward. Because that is what it means to be a Demon Slayer. With the battle at the drum house over, Tanjiro steps outside as morning light filters through the trees. The forest is quiet again, as if nothing had happened. Inside the house, the twisted space has returned to normal, leaving behind only silence and broken wood. Tanjiro takes a deep breath, feeling the tension finally leave his body. Zenitsu slowly wakes up, confused and disoriented. He remembers only his fear, not the battle that followed. Tanjiro reassures him gently, telling him that the danger has passed. Though embarrassed by his own panic, Zenitsu clings to Tanjiro, clearly relieved to still be alive. Nezuko watches quietly from her box, calm and observant. Soon, another figure appears. A young man wearing a boar's head mask bursts out from the house, dragging the body of the defeated demon behind him. His presence is wild and aggressive. This is Inosuke Hashira, a swordsman who entered the house on his own, drawn by the promise of a strong opponent. He immediately challenges Tanjiro, sensing his strength. Without warning, Inosuke attacks. Tanjiro barely manages to defend himself as Inosuke's dual blades slash through the air. The fight is sudden and chaotic, filled with raw energy. Inosuke fights purely on instinct, laughing as he attacks, driven by the thrill of combat rather than duty or fear. Tanjiro struggles to understand him. Unlike other Demon Slayers, Inosuke shows no concern for rules, teamwork, or even survival. He fights simply because he enjoys it. Still, Tanjiro senses no true malice in him, only an untamed spirit searching for strength. The clash ends abruptly when Tanjiro knocks Inosuke away, pinning him to the ground without seriously harming him. Shocked by his defeat, Inosuke demands to know Tanjiro's name, recognizing him as a worthy rival. Zenitsu watches in horror, unable to comprehend how Tanjiro remains calm in the face of such chaos. Before the tension can rise again, a Kasugai crow appears, delivering Tanjiro's next mission. A demon has been sighted near the southeastern region. Without delay, Tanjiro prepares to leave. Inosuke insists on coming along, eager for another fight. Zenitsu panics at the thought but is dragged along regardless, too afraid to be left behind. As the group begins to travel together, their differences become clear. Tanjiro is focused and compassionate, guided by a strong sense of responsibility. Zenitsu is fearful and emotional, constantly voicing his anxiety. Inosuke is loud and reckless, challenging everything around him. Despite the chaos, a strange balance forms between them along the road. Tanjiro reflects on how quickly his world has changed. Not long ago, he traveled alone with only Nezuko by his side. Now, new companions walk beside him, each carrying their own fears and motivations. Though they clash, Tanjiro believes they can grow stronger together. As night begins to fall, the group heads toward their next destination. The road ahead promises danger, conflict, and uncertainty. But Tanjiro steps forward without hesitation. With Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke at his side, his journey as a Demon Slayer enters a new phase, and somewhere in the darkness ahead, another demon waits. Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke continue their journey together, traveling through quiet villages and forest paths. Though they walk side by side, their personalities constantly clash. Inosuke charges ahead without thinking, Zenitsu complains and trembles at every sound, and Tanjiro tries his best to keep the group focused. Despite the chaos, Tanjiro feels a strange sense of relief. He is no longer alone. Their journey leads them to a small town near the mountains. The air feels calm, almost too calm. As Tanjiro walks through the streets, he suddenly freezes. A familiar scent reaches his nose. Blood. Fresh blood. His expression hardens immediately. This is not the aftermath of a battle. Someone is in danger right now. Following the scent, Tanjiro arrives at a quiet house. Inside lives a family who appears ordinary at first glance. A father, a mother, and their children welcome him politely. Yet something feels wrong. The scent of blood grows stronger inside the house, hidden beneath forced smiles and calm voices. Tanjiro senses fear, desperation, and deception all mixed together. Before he can act, a loud scream echoes from outside. Zenitsu has disappeared. Panic spreads instantly. Tanjiro realizes they have been separated, and the danger is far greater than he first thought. Without hesitation, he rushes back into the house, determined to uncover the truth. The illusion shatters suddenly. The family reveals their true forms. They are demons. The house itself twists unnaturally, walls shifting in corridors stretching endlessly. Tanjiro finds himself trapped inside, surrounded by enemies who have been luring victims for a long time. Their cruelty is masked by fake kindness, making them even more disturbing. Elsewhere, Zenitsu finds himself alone in a dark forest clearing. Paralyzed by fear, he can barely move. Every sound sends his heart racing. When a demon appears before him, mocking his weakness, Zenitsu collapses under the pressure. His mind shuts down completely, and once again, something changes. As Zenitsu falls unconscious, his breathing becomes steady. His fear disappears. With perfect form, he draws his sword. Lightning seems to crack through the air as he unleashes a blindingly fast strike. The demon is defeated before it can even react. When Zenitsu wakes moments later, he remembers nothing, only the lingering terror in his chest. Inside the house, Tanjiro battles desperately to protect the trapped humans. The demons taunt him, exploiting his compassion. They threaten the lives of innocent people, knowing Tanjiro will hesitate. Each decision weighs heavily on him. One wrong move could mean death for someone else. Inosuke crashes into the battle with overwhelming force, smashing through walls and attacking anything that moves. His wild fighting style disrupts the demon's plans, creating openings Tanjiro desperately needs. Though reckless, Inosuke's strength proves invaluable. Together, they push deeper into the twisted structure. The demons grow desperate. Their calm masks fade, replaced by rage and panic. Tanjiro focuses on his breathing, sharpening his senses despite exhaustion. He listens to the sounds of movement, the cries of fear, the rhythm of the enemy's attacks. Step by step, he turns the tide of battle. One by one, the demons fall. Their illusions collapse, revealing the truth beneath their lies. The house begins to crumble as the last demon is defeated. Tanjiro rushes to free the trapped humans, guiding them outside before the structure collapses completely. As dawn approaches, the survivors stand shaken but alive. The quiet town begins to wake, unaware of how close it came to tragedy. Tanjiro looks at the freed family and feels a familiar mix of relief and sorrow. Another battle has ended, but the scars remain, and Zenitsu rejoins the group, still trembling, completely unaware of what he accomplished. Inosuke boasts loudly, demanding recognition for his strength. Tanjiro listens quietly, watching the sunrise. Each mission reminds him of the darkness hidden beneath peaceful appearances. Demons do not always roar or attack openly. Sometimes, they smile. As the group sets off once more, Tanjiro tightens his grip on his sword. The road ahead is filled with deception, danger, and loss. But he will continue forward. No matter how terrifying the enemy, no matter how heavy the cost, because that is the path he has chosen. The battle was over. Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke stepped into the quiet morning light, leaving behind the ruined house. Though the demons had been defeated, the night's tension still clung to them. Tanjiro felt every victory came with a cost. Lives were spared, yet fear and exhaustion lingered, etched deeply into their minds. Every step forward reminded him that the path of a demon slayer was relentless. Zenitsu trembled at each sound, muttering complaints and clutching Tanjiro for reassurance. Every rustle of leaves, every distant cry seemed to warn of danger. Inosuke, however, bounded ahead with reckless energy, swinging his dual swords at the trees, rocks, and anything that might move. Their constant bickering created chaos, yet Tanjiro moved calmly, guiding them with quiet patience. Nezuko rode on his back, serene yet vigilant, noticing small details in the surroundings that the others ignored. Suddenly, a Kasugai crow swooped down, its wings flapping urgently. It carried a message that made Tanjiro's heart race. He was to report immediately to the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Corps. The weight of the summons was unmistakable. Understanding the urgency, Tanjiro instructed Zenitsu and Inosuke to continue safely along the path while he followed the crow, carrying Nezuko on his back. His instincts told him the road ahead would be dangerous, but there was no turning back. The mountains rose higher, the air crisp and thin. After a strenuous climb, Tanjiro saw a grand estate emerging between the peaks. Its walls radiated authority, and the aura surrounding the place was heavy with power. This was no ordinary headquarters. Tanjiro could sense the presence of the Hashira, the elite swordsmen of the DemonSlayer Corps, whose duty was to protect humanity from the most formidable demons. The pressure of their presence made him feel small and inexperienced. Entering the estate, Tanjiro was immediately confronted by the Hashira. Their eyes were sharp and calculating, measuring both him and Nezuko. Some reacted with immediate hostility, seeing only a demon that must be eliminated. Swords were drawn. Tanjiro stepped forward without hesitation, placing himself between Nezuko and the blades. He spoke with sincerity, explaining her restraint, her refusal to harm humans, and their bond. Every word carried the determination that had sustained him through countless trials. He would protect his sister at any cost. Nezuko remained composed, demonstrating her control flawlessly. The Hashira observed her carefully. Even the most skeptical could not deny the truth of her restraint. After a tense pause, the leader of the Hashira stepped forward, nodding. Nezuko's life was spared, though the Hashira's vigilance would continue. Stepping outside, Tanjiro reflected on the encounter. Relief washed over him, yet he knew the journey ahead would be even more demanding. With Nezuko by his side, he felt ready to face whatever trials awaited. The path of a demon slayer continued, filled with danger, uncertainty, and the hope that they could overcome it together. Tanjiro stepped cautiously into the hall of the Hashira, the elite swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps. Their presence was overwhelming, each radiating strength, discipline, and authority. Nezuko sat calmly on his back, her eyes alert and aware of every movement around them. The Hashira's sharp gazes weighed heavily on the siblings, assessing every detail, the way Tanjiro held himself, the way Nezuko remained composed despite her nature as a demon. To these warriors, she was a potential threat that could not be overlooked. Several Hashira stepped forward immediately, their voices sharp and questioning. Why is this demon still alive? How can we trust you? The weight of their scrutiny pressed on Tanjiro's chest. He knew that the words he spoke here could determine Nezuko's fate. With steady resolve, he explained everything: Nezuko's restraint, her refusal to harm humans, and the bond they shared. He recounted the battles they had fought together, the lives they had protected, and the dangers they had survived side by side. His voice trembled at moments, yet each word carried unwavering conviction. He would protect his sister at any cost. The Hashira observed them intently. One woman studied Nezuko's calm breathing and controlled movements, noting the lack of aggression. A tall, stern man scrutinized Tanjiro's posture and expression, testing his courage and sincerity. The tension in the room was palpable, every second stretching longer than the last. Trust here was not freely given, it was earned through proof of heart, discipline, and strength. Tanjiro instructed Nezuko to remain passive under their watchful eyes. She obeyed flawlessly, her calm demeanor undeniable. The room fell into silence, the kind that spoke louder than words. Even the most skeptical Hashira could not deny the evidence before them. Minutes felt like hours as the leader of the Hashira stepped forward, his eyes sweeping over both Tanjiro and Nezuko. Every detail was considered, every gesture measured. After a long, careful pause, he nodded slowly. Nezuko's life was spared, though the Hashira's vigilance would remain. Relief washed over Tanjiro, but it was tempered by the weight of responsibility. He understood that the life of a demon slayer demanded constant vigilance, unwavering courage, and a readiness to face any danger. The trial might have ended, but the challenges ahead had only just begun. Stepping outside the estate, the sunlight filtered through the towering trees, casting long shadows across the mountain path. Tanjiro reflected on the encounter, replaying every moment in his mind. He had faced immense pressure, defending Nezuko in front of the most powerful swordsman in the Corps.
His courage, honesty, and determination had carried them through.
Zenitsu and Inosuke, who had waited outside, glanced at him nervously, sensing the lingering tension in the air.
Tanjiro reassured them with a firm nod, silently reminding himself that the journey ahead would require teamwork and trust above all else. Nezuko adjusted her position on his back, her gaze calm but attentive. Tanjiro felt a renewed sense of determination. He realized that the strength of a demon slayer was measured not only in skill or power, but in heart, conviction, and the courage to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Together, he and Nezuko would face every trial, no matter the danger or uncertainty. The road of a demon slayer stretched ahead, filled with challenges, perils, and hope. With the Hashira's watchful eyes lingering in his mind, Tanjiro took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to continue the journey that had only just begun. The morning sunlight poured over the vast training grounds, scattering golden light across the stone paths. Mountains rose like jagged sentinels around the perimeter, their peaks piercing the thin veil of mist that lingered over the valley. Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke stepped carefully onto the field. Every movement was observed, every gesture measured by the silent, piercing eyes of the Hashira. Tanjiro could feel the weight of their scrutiny pressing down on him, his heart hammering. Today's trial was more than a test of skill, it was a test of heart, judgment, and the ability to protect those he cared for. As Zenitsu fidgeted, clutching his sword tightly. I hope I don't mess up, he whispered, his voice trembling. Inosuke, as usual, bellowed a fierce roar and lunged forward recklessly. I'll crush anything in my way. No one can stop me. Tanjiro exhaled slowly, centering himself. He moved deliberately to guide both of them while keeping Nezuko steady on his back. Her calm breathing was an anchor in the tense air, a silent reminder of why he fought. Every decision he made could determine their success or failure. The leader of the Hashira stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. This trial will test your speed, precision, adaptability, and teamwork, he said, his voice calm yet authoritative. You will face scenarios designed to expose weaknesses. Only those who act with discipline, focus, and courage will succeed. Tanjiro felt the weight of the words settle deep into his chest. The trial was not merely a test of combat ability, it was a test of character, strategy, and the strength of their bonds. The trial began. Moving targets sprang up, obstacles shifted unpredictably, and simulated attacks struck from every direction. Tanjiro's movements were deliberate and controlled, balancing offense and defense, guiding Zenitsu through hesitation and restraining Inosuke's wild swings. Coordination was vital. One misstep could throw off the rhythm of the group. Every strike, every adjustment, was both instruction and protection, a silent lesson in teamwork and trust. Nezuko mirrored Tanjiro's precision, her movements graceful and deliberate, demonstrating restraint and awareness beyond her years. Zenitsu's fear gradually transformed into cautious confidence as he landed successful strikes. Inosuke's raw, chaotic energy began to align with Tanjiro's guidance, creating a rhythm that was both powerful and synchronized. The Hashira watched silently, their nods and subtle expressions acknowledging the team's progress without breaking their stern demeanor. Hours passed. The sun climbed high in the sky, beating down relentlessly. Muscles burned, lungs ached, but the team pressed on. Tanjiro's mind raced, calculating movements, anticipating attacks, and adjusting strategies on the fly. Every error became a lesson, every success a hard-won victory. By late afternoon, the team had found a rhythm, their movements flowing in near-perfect harmony. Tanjiro allowed himself a brief moment to reflect. He had guided his friends, protected Nezuko, and fostered unity among them. The first trial had not just tested their skill, it had tested their hearts, their courage, and their resolve. As the sun began to dip, casting the mountains in warm golden light, the trial concluded. Tanjiro stood with his companions, sweat dripping down his brow, muscles aching, yet exhilarated. They had endured intense scrutiny, learned from mistakes, and strengthened their bond. The path of a demon slayer was perilous, but together, they were ready to face the challenges that awaited them. The following morning dawned bright and clear, sunlight bouncing off the peaks that encircled the training grounds. Today's trial was the true test, designed to push their reflexes, coordination, and tactical thinking to the limit. The Hashira observed silently, statuesque and unyielding, their eyes sharp and unblinking.
Tanjiro could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on him, his chest tight with anticipation. The trial would test not only their skill but endurance, adaptability, and the strength of their bond. Zenitsu's hands trembled as he gripped his sword. "I hope I don't mess up," he muttered. Inosuke, overflowing with energy, charged recklessly into the field.
Tanjiro exhaled, centering himself, ensuring Nezuko remained steady and calm on his back.
Her serene presence provided a stabilizing force amid the chaos. Unity was more important than individual strength. Without it, failure was inevitable. The Hashira addressed them.
This trial will challenge reflexes, coordination, and strategic thinking. Targets and obstacles will appear without warning. Only those who act as one, with clarity and focus, will succeed. Tanjiro absorbed the weight of their words. Every challenge would test their physical, mental, and emotional limits. Every misstep would be observed, remembered, and judged. The trial began.
Moving targets appeared at unpredictable angles, obstacles shifted suddenly, and simulated attacks forced immediate reactions.
Tanjiro moved with careful precision, balancing offense and defense, guiding Zenitsu past hesitation and restraining Inosuke's impulsive swings. Coordination was essential. A single miscalculation could disrupt the team's flow.
Each correction reinforced trust, unity, and timing, turning chaos into order. Nezuko moved in perfect sync, calm and aware, her controlled actions reflecting both restraint and power. Zenitsu's fear gradually transformed into determination, each successful strike building confidence and courage. Inosuke's raw energy, previously chaotic, became coordinated under Tanjiro's guidance, blending ferocity with strategy. Together, the group moved as a single, synchronized entity, responding instinctively to each new challenge. The Hashira watched silently, subtle nods acknowledging their growing skill. Hours passed. The sun blazed overhead, relentless. Muscles ached, lungs burned, yet focus never wavered. Tanjiro's mind constantly analyzed, corrected, and adapted. Every wave of targets and attacks strengthened resilience, coordination, and trust. By late afternoon, their flow was near perfect, movement smooth, anticipatory, and unified. As the sun sank, casting the mountains in deep gold, the final stage began. Targets accelerated, obstacles shifted unexpectedly, and attacks demanded split-second decisions. Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke synchronized flawlessly, transforming the chaos into disciplined motion. The Hashira observed, silent but approving, their subtle expressions acknowledging the team's remarkable growth. The trial ended. Exhausted yet exhilarated, Tanjiro reflected on their progress. They had faced relentless challenges, discovered weaknesses, and strengthened each other. Every member had grown in skill, courage, coordination, and trust. With Nezuko safely on his back and friends beside him, Tanjiro felt renewed determination. The journey ahead was long and dangerous, but together, they were ready to meet it. The morning air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and the distant sound of rushing mountain streams. Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke stepped onto the expansive training grounds, their footsteps echoing against the stone paths. The mountains around them loomed like silent guardians, their jagged peaks slicing into the sky. Every corner of the grounds was observed by the Hashira, whose presence seemed to weigh down the air itself. This trial was not for practice, it was designed to push them to the very limits of skill, endurance, and teamwork. Zenitsu's hands trembled as he gripped his sword, muttering under his breath, I can't mess this up. What if I fail?" Inosuke, in stark contrast, leapt forward with a roar, his dual sword swinging wildly. "I don't care. I'll take on anything." Tanjiro exhaled slowly, steadying both of them while keeping Nezuko secure on his back. Her calm breathing and composed demeanor provided a silent anchor for him, yet the pressure of the trial weighed heavily on his chest. Every move, every decision, could determine not only their success but also their safety under the eyes of the elite Hashira. The leader of the Hashira stepped forward, his gaze piercing, commanding silence from the group.
This trial will test your precision, adaptability, endurance, and teamwork. You will face scenarios that change in the blink of an eye. Hesitate, falter, or act recklessly, and the consequences will be severe. Show us that you have the heart and discipline to walk the path of the Demon Slayer. His voice carried the weight of generations, echoing across the training grounds. Tanjiro's resolve tightened. He understood that this was a trial not only of strength but of character and judgment. The trial commenced with intensity. Waves of moving targets, sudden obstacle courses, and unexpected simulated attacks forced the group to react instantaneously. Tanjiro's every movement was deliberate, balancing offense and defense, anticipating Zenitsu's hesitations and restraining Inosuke's reckless bursts of energy. Coordination became crucial. A single misstep could throw the team into chaos. Tanjiro guided them patiently, adjusting positions, correcting swings, and communicating silently, teaching them how to trust and act as one. Every strike he executed, every decision he made, became a lesson for the group. Nezuko followed Tanjiro's lead with flawless control, her restrained movements proving her discipline and awareness. Zenitsu, initially paralyzed by fear, slowly adapted under Tanjiro's careful guidance, each successful maneuver building his confidence. Inosuke's ferocity, once chaotic and unpredictable, began to find focus, his attacks precise when channeled through Tanjiro's instruction. The group moved as a single unit, each member learning from the other's strengths and weaknesses. Even the Hashira, who had remained stern and silent, nodded subtly at moments of improvement, acknowledging their progress without a word. Hours stretched under the relentless sun. Tanjiro's muscles burned, sweat streamed down his face, and his lungs ached, but he never wavered. Each challenge demanded more than physical skill, it tested mental fortitude, strategic thinking, and emotional control. Mistakes were corrected immediately, lessons seared into memory by the Hashira's watchful eyes. The trial pushed each of them past fatigue, teaching endurance and the necessity of teamwork. Tanjiro felt the invisible weight of responsibility, not just for himself, but for his friends and for Nezuko's safety. Every decision mattered. As the sun began its descent, casting long golden shadows over the mountains, the final stage of the trial approached. The Hashira introduced moving, unpredictable targets that required quick reflexes and precise coordination. Tanjiro felt the rhythm of his team solidified. Zenitsu's strikes, once hesitant, now flowed with confidence. Inosuke's ferocity, once chaotic, now had direction. Nezuko's calm presence provided balance and support. Tanjiro adjusted, corrected, and executed in perfect sync with them, demonstrating not only his own growth but the unity of the group. Finally, the trial concluded. Exhausted yet exhilarated, Tanjiro stood with his companions, reflecting on the experience. They had faced relentless scrutiny, endured physical strain, and overcome the tension that had threatened to fracture them. The trial had exposed weaknesses but also illuminated potential. Each member of the group had grown, not only in skill but in courage, strategy, and trust. Tanjiro realized that being a Demon Slayer demanded resilience, foresight, and an unwavering commitment to protecting others. With Nezuko safely on his back and his friends at his side, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but together, they were ready to meet every challenge. Their journey as true Demon Slayers was only beginning, and for the first time, Tanjiro felt the weight of responsibility and the strength of resolve in equal measure. The training grounds were quiet now, the morning mist lingering over the stone paths like a soft veil. Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke stood together, muscles tense, lungs still catching in the aftermath of the trials. The mountains around them loomed silently, their jagged peaks cutting into the pale light, reminding the group of the relentless challenges they faced as Demon Slayers. Every heartbeat echoed the pressure and expectation that had hung over them for hours. Zenitsu wiped sweat from his brow, his hands still shaking slightly. I think I can survive this now, he murmured, his voice a mix of relief and lingering fear. Inosuke let out a triumphant roar, spinning his dual swords in celebration. Ha! I didn't even break a sweat. Tanjiro allowed himself a small smile, watching his friends recover. He knew their growth today wasn't just about skill, it was about courage, trust, and learning to move as a team. Nezuko shifted slightly on his back, her calm breathing steadying him, a silent reminder of the responsibility he carried. The Hashira approached, their presence commanding yet measured. Each one's gaze swept over the group, noting posture, timing, and cohesion. Tanjiro felt the weight of their attention, but he stood firm, his resolve unwavering.
"You've shown improvement," the lead Hashira said, voice calm yet authoritative.
"Your coordination and decision-making under pressure have grown significantly. However, you must continue to refine your instincts, anticipate your companions, and trust in one another fully."
Tanjiro bowed deeply, gratitude and determination mixing in his expression. "Thank you, Hashira. We will continue to train and improve," he said, voice steady.
The words carried the weight of his promise, not just for himself, but for Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke. Each challenge they faced together strengthened their bond, teaching them to act as one, even when fear and exhaustion threatened to pull them apart. As the group began to leave the training grounds, Tanjiro allowed himself a moment of reflection.
The trials had been grueling, yet invaluable.
He thought about the countless battles ahead, the demons waiting beyond the mountains, and the need to protect humanity. The path of a demon slayer was relentless, but every step forward, every lesson learned, brought them closer to mastering both sword and spirit. Zenitsu glanced at Tanjiro, a hint of newfound confidence in his eyes.
Inosuke bounced along beside them, unrestrained energy still radiating, yet more focused than before. Nezuko remained silent, calm and unwavering, her presence a steady heartbeat against the chaos.
Together, they left the grounds, carrying the lessons of the day with them. The sun climbed higher, casting warm light over the mountains.
Tanjiro's thoughts drifted briefly to the next mission, to the dangers that surely awaited.
But he felt a quiet strength within himself and his companions. Each step, each breath, each shared struggle had forged them into a team capable of facing whatever darkness came next. The trial was over, but the journey, the true journey of a demon slayer, was only beginning. The morning air was crisp and still, the sunlight spilling over the mountain peaks, casting long, sharp shadows across the training grounds. Mist curled gently around the jagged stones, softening the harsh edges of the terrain. Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke walked together, their steps deliberate but measured, each carrying a renewed confidence born from the grueling trials of the past days. The calm morning seemed almost deceptive, a silent prelude to the challenges that awaited beyond the mountains. Every scar, every bead of sweat clinging to their skin, was a testament to lessons learned, to endurance tested, and to bonds strengthened through shared struggle. Zenitsu exhaled shakily, trying to steady his nerves. I think I'm finally starting to understand how to focus under pressure," he murmured, glancing at Tanjiro with wide eyes, a mix of relief and lingering fear still evident in his expression. Inosuke, in contrast, let out a triumphant roar, twirling his twin swords with reckless energy, yet there was a subtle precision in his movements that had been absent before.
"Ha! Today I didn't even hesitate. My instincts are sharper than ever." Tanjiro allowed himself a faint smile, watching his friends recover.
He knew that their growth went far beyond skill. It was courage, trust, and the ability to act as one under pressure. Nezuko, calm and composed on his back, shifted slightly, her steady breathing offering Tanjiro a quiet anchor amid the chaos of thought and memory. She was a constant reminder of the responsibility he carried and the stakes that lay ahead. The Hashira gathered nearby, their presence imposing yet measured. Even in the gentle morning light, they radiated authority, their gaze sweeping across the group with careful scrutiny. Tanjiro felt the weight of their attention, pressing down with unspoken expectation.
"Your progress has been notable," the lead Hashira said, voice firm and measured.
"You have improved in coordination, decision-making, and resilience.
But remember, the path ahead is far more dangerous. Anticipate the unknown, trust your companions fully, and never underestimate your enemies."
The words lingered, heavy with meaning, a sober reminder of the perils that awaited. Tanjiro bowed respectfully, absorbing their guidance. "We will continue to train and remain vigilant," he replied, voice steady, carrying the weight of his promise. His gaze moved across his companions, Zenitsu, whose fear was now tempered by growing confidence, Inosuke, whose untamed energy had found direction, and Nezuko, whose quiet strength grounded them all. Together, they were no longer simply individuals, they were a team, prepared to face whatever darkness lay ahead. The Hashira provided detailed instructions for the upcoming mission, explaining reports of increased demon activity in nearby villages. The terrain would be treacherous, the enemies unpredictable. Tanjiro listened intently, mentally visualizing the scenarios, considering each companion's strengths and weaknesses. Every decision would matter, every misstep could carry deadly consequences. The mission would test not just their skill but judgment, coordination, and adaptability. He felt the weight of responsibility settle deep in his chest, but it fueled a quiet determination rather than fear. As they departed the training grounds, sunlight glinted off their swords, casting reflections that danced across the stone paths. The crisp scent of the mountains mingled with the faint traces of smoke from distant fires. Tanjiro's thoughts drifted to the families and villagers depending on their success. He felt a surge of resolve. Each step forward, each lesson learned, had prepared them for this moment. Together, they were ready to confront the darkness looming just beyond the horizon. Zenitsu glanced at Tanjiro, determination shining in his eyes, a stark contrast to the fear he had carried before. Inosuke bounded ahead, eager yet tempered, energy channeled with experience rather than recklessness. Nezuko remained silent, serene and steadfast, a pillar of calm amidst the tension. Side by side, they descended the mountain paths toward the unknown, carrying the lessons, scars, and courage forged in the trials of the Hashira. The journey continued, danger waiting just beyond sight, but Tanjiro felt a quiet certainty. Together, they would face it, no matter what came. The early morning mist clung thickly to the mountain valleys, softening the jagged edges of the peaks as sunlight spilled over the landscape, glinting on dew-dampened leaves. Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke stood at the edge of the training grounds, the memories of grueling trials with the Hashira still fresh in their minds. Every bruise, every bead of sweat, was a testament to lessons learned and the bonds forged through shared struggle. The mountains stretched endlessly before them, a silent reminder that the path of a demon slayer was unending and perilous, demanding both courage and precision. Zenitsu's hands shook slightly as he adjusted his grip on his sword. I hope we're ready, he murmured, voice low and nervous. Inosuke, never one to be restrained, bounced on the balls of his feet, twirling his twin swords in a display of feral confidence, yet a sharpness in his movements showed his growth. I'm ready for anything. Let the demons come. Tanjiro exhaled slowly, centering himself. Every step he took was deliberate, balancing the need to protect Nezuko on his back while coordinating with his friends. Her calm, steady breathing was an anchor, a quiet reminder of the responsibility he carried not just for his own survival, but for the people depending on them. The Hashira watched silently from a distance, their presence commanding yet measured. Even in the gentle morning light, they radiated authority, eyes sharp and calculating. The lead Hashira stepped forward. The villages ahead have seen increased demon activity, he said, voice calm but carrying undeniable weight. Reports indicate unusual aggression and cunning tactics. Your mission is to investigate, protect civilians, and eliminate threats. Remember, coordination, vigilance, and anticipation are essential. Move as one. Trust in each other. Tanjiro absorbed the instructions carefully, mentally mapping the terrain, anticipating potential ambush points, and considering the strengths and weaknesses of his team. The journey through the winding mountain paths was tense. The mist thickened in shaded areas, and sunlight flickered through dense canopies, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow. Each rustle of leaves or crack of a twig made Zenitsu flinch, his body tensing as if expecting an attack from every shadow. Inosuke, as always, leapt ahead recklessly, sniffing the air like a predator tracking prey, yet Tanjiro's careful guidance ensured that the group remained cohesive. Every step demanded awareness, every glance scanned for hidden danger. Hours passed, and the forest gradually gave way to the villages below. Smoke rose from chimneys, children played unaware of the lurking threat, and villagers went about their daily routines, oblivious to the danger approaching. Tanjiro's chest tightened with the weight of responsibility. Every action now could mean life or death for these innocent people. The team moved cautiously, each member aware that one wrong move could have catastrophic consequences. Suddenly, two demons emerged silently from the shadows of narrow alleys, eyes glowing with malice. Zenitsu froze, fear locking his body for a moment, while Inosuke lunged forward with a roar, blades slashing through the air. Tanjiro reacted instantly, positioning Nezuko safely on his back and drawing his sword with precision. The clash was swift and chaotic. The demons moved unpredictably, forcing the team to adapt with speed and coordination. Zenitsu, after shaking off his initial fear, found his rhythm, his strikes careful but effective. Inosuke's raw ferocity complemented Tanjiro's calculated movements, while Nezuko struck with measured force, each action synchronized perfectly with the others. The villagers watched, a mix of awe and fear in their eyes, as Tanjiro led the fight. Sweat streamed down his face, muscles ached, yet his focus never wavered. Each demon defeated brought relief, yet he knew this was only the beginning. Shadows lingered, and stronger enemies were likely waiting. Every sense, every instinct, had to remain sharp. After the immediate threat was neutralized, the team regrouped. Minor cuts and bruises were tended to as they caught their breath. Zenitsu's fear had transformed into cautious confidence, while Inosuke's wild energy remained, tempered now by strategy. Nezuko, as always, remained calm, a steady heartbeat amidst chaos. Tanjiro took a moment to look around the village, noting its narrow streets, the frightened but hopeful expressions of its people, and the traces of smoke from cooking fires. Protecting these lives was the purpose of their struggle, the reason for every battle. As the sun climbed higher, the group moved cautiously through the village, remaining vigilant for further threats. Every shadow, every alleyway was scanned, every possible danger anticipated. The Hashira's lessons echoed in Tanjiro's mind: act as one, trust your companions, and anticipate the unexpected. The mission had truly begun, and already it demanded focus, strategy, and courage beyond the trials of the mountains. Tanjiro's thoughts briefly drifted to the future: more villages, more battles, and the lurking threat of powerful demons. Yet he felt a quiet strength within himself and his friends. Each step, each lesson, each shared struggle had forged them into a team capable of facing whatever darkness came next. Zenitsu glanced at him, determination burning in his eyes. Inosuke bounded ahead with restrained ferocity, and Nezuko remained a pillar of calm, steady, and unyielding. Together, they pressed forward, carrying the lessons, scars, and courage from the Hashira's trials into the uncertain path ahead. The journey of the Demon Slayers continued, every step a testament to unity, courage, and the relentless fight against the shadows threatening humanity. The afternoon sunlight filtered through the village streets, scattering light across the uneven cobblestones. Tanjiro led the group cautiously, every step measured, eyes scanning alleys, rooftops, and the shadows between houses. Villagers moved about their routines, oblivious to the hidden danger, yet a faint tension lingered in the air, almost as if the village itself sensed the presence of demons. Zenitsu's hands shook as he gripped his sword. I feel something, he murmured, voice tight with unease. Inosuke bounded ahead, sniffing the air, blades ready, and let out a low growl. Tanjiro exhaled slowly, centering himself while keeping Nezuko secure on his back. Her calm, steady breathing was an anchor, grounding him in the moment. Every choice mattered. One wrong move could endanger the villagers. The village was eerily quiet. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, children played near gardens, and merchants arranged their goods, oblivious to the looming threat. Tanjiro's senses were heightened, every sound and subtle movement analyzed. He thought back to the Hashira's lessons: trust in your companions, move as one, and anticipate danger even when it seems absent. A faint shadow flickered between two houses. Zenitsu froze, fear momentarily rooting him in place, while Inosuke lunged forward instinctively. Tanjiro reacted instantly, positioning Nezuko and drawing his sword. Nezuko's movements were controlled, ready to strike if the demon showed itself. The shadow vanished almost immediately, but its presence was unmistakable, a chilling reminder that danger was nearby. Tanjiro scanned the streets for traces: overturned carts, scratch marks along walls, faint streaks of blood. The demons had been careful, leaving only subtle signs, but enough to understand their recent movements. He guided his companions with precision, balancing vigilance with protection. Zenitsu's fear gradually eased into focused alertness, Inosuke's wild energy became sharp and directed, and Nezuko remained calm, a constant source of stability. Their coordination strengthened with every step. Hours passed as they cautiously moved through the village, examining every alley, every building. By late afternoon, they had gathered enough information to anticipate the demons' likely patterns. The village was not fully safe, but the team now had an advantage. Tanjiro felt a quiet determination settle in his chest. Preparation and observation were just as vital as combat. Together, they were ready for whatever came next. As the sun dipped behind the distant mountains, casting long, soft shadows over the village streets, Tanjiro glanced at his companions. Zenitsu's eyes were sharper, alert but calmer, Inosuke's energy focused and purposeful, and Nezuko remained serene, her presence grounding them all. Step by step, they moved forward, carrying the lessons learned, the strength forged in the Hashira's trials, and an unwavering resolve to protect those who could not defend themselves. The shadows lingered, but the demon slayers were ready. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the village streets. Tanjiro led his group cautiously, stepping lightly on the uneven cobblestones. Each movement was deliberate, each glance scanned the alleys and rooftops. The villagers went about their routines, unaware of the lurking danger, but Tanjiro could feel an undercurrent of tension, subtle yet unmistakable. Zenitsu held his sword tightly, eyes wide. I think something's nearby, he whispered, voice quivering. Inosuke crouched low, sniffing the air, muscles coiled like a spring ready to strike. Tanjiro steadied his breathing, keeping Nezuko secure on his back. Her calm, steady presence gave him strength, reminding him of why they moved carefully. One wrong move could cost lives. The streets were eerily quiet. Smoke curled lazily from chimneys, children played near small gardens, and merchants arranged goods. Tanjiro's senses were alert, every creak of wood, every rustle of leaves analyzed. The lessons from the Hashira echoed in his mind: trust your companions, anticipate danger, and act with precision even when the threat seems distant. He also noticed subtle signs of villagers' unease, doors slightly ajar, hurried footsteps, glances cast over shoulders, a reminder that even ordinary life sensed danger. A sudden movement flickered in the shadows between two buildings. Zenitsu froze, fear gripping him. Inosuke lunged forward instinctively. Tanjiro reacted instantly, positioning Nezuko and drawing his sword. Nezuko's movements were measured, ready to assist if necessary. The shadow vanished, leaving only an uneasy silence. The presence of the demon was brief but unmistakable, a chilling reminder of what awaited. Tanjiro carefully examined the surroundings. Overturned carts, faint scratches on walls, traces of blood, small signs that indicated the demon's recent activity. He guided his companions through the streets, balancing vigilance with protection. Zenitsu's fear slowly turned to cautious focus, Inosuke's energy became directed and controlled, and Nezuko remained a calm anchor. Together, their teamwork grew stronger with every step. By mid-afternoon, Tanjiro had gathered enough clues to anticipate the demon's possible hiding spots. The village was not yet safe, but he felt a growing confidence. Observation, patience, and preparation were as critical as combat skill. They moved with careful determination, ready for the confrontation that would surely come. Tanjiro's thoughts briefly drifted to the villagers' families, to the children playing unknowingly, fueling his resolve even further. As the sun dipped further behind the mountains, shadows stretched across the village. Tanjiro glanced at his companions, Zenitsu alert but steadier, Inosuke focused, Nezuko serene. Step by step, they pressed onward, carrying the lessons learned, the strength forged in their trials, and the unwavering resolve to protect those who could not defend themselves. Danger still lingered, but the demon slayers were prepared, ready to confront whatever darkness awaited in the village streets. Late afternoon shadows stretched across the village streets. Tanjiro led the group cautiously, stepping lightly on the uneven cobblestones, eyes scanning alleys, rooftops, and spaces between buildings. Villagers went about their routines, unaware of hidden danger, yet a subtle tension lingered, as if the village itself sensed something amiss. Zenitsu's hands trembled around his sword. I feel something, he whispered. Inosuke crouched low, sniffing the air, muscles coiled to strike. Tanjiro adjusted Nezuko on his back, her calm breathing anchoring him, reminding him to move carefully. One wrong move could put lives at risk. A shadow flickered between two buildings. Zenitsu froze, Inosuke lunged instinctively, and Tanjiro reacted instantly, positioning Nezuko and drawing his sword. The demon darted through the alley. Its glowing eyes met Tanjiro's, sending a shiver down his spine. The team held their ground, tense but coordinated. Every movement counted. Tanjiro studied the surroundings, overturned barrels, faint scratches on walls, subtle traces of blood. He signaled Inosuke and Zenitsu to cover different angles while advancing carefully. Nezuko shifted slightly, alert and ready to assist. Team coordination, honed through past battles, flowed naturally. Zenitsu's fear sharpened into focus, Inosuke's energy became precise, and Nezuko remained calm, a silent reassurance. The demon hesitated, sensing it was cornered. Tanjiro seized the moment, stepping forward steadily. Inosuke charged from one side, blades flashing. Zenitsu struck with intent. Nezuko remained poised, ready to act. The demon hissed, then retreated into the shadows, leaving uneasy silence behind. The streets seemed calm again, but tension lingered, a reminder danger could return at any moment. Tanjiro's mind raced, thinking of the villagers' safety and the challenges yet to come. Tanjiro exhaled deeply, lowering his sword. The encounter had tested their skills, but the village remained under threat. Step by step, they moved onward, alert and determined. Shadows stretched across the streets, and each sound reminded them that vigilance was essential. Together, the Demon Slayers pressed forward, ready for whatever dangers lay hidden in the night. The evening air grew cooler as shadows deepened across the village. Tanjiro moved carefully, stepping lightly on the uneven streets, his eyes scanning rooftops, alleys, and darkened corners. Nezuko rested calmly on his back, her steady breathing grounding him. Zenitsu clutched his sword nervously, glancing around at every rustle of leaves, while Inosuke prowled ahead, sniffing the air and ready to strike at any hint of movement. Signs of the demon were subtle but unmistakable. Overturned baskets, faint scratch marks along walls, and scattered footprints traced a path deeper into the village. Tanjiro analyzed each clue carefully, mapping the likely route and anticipating possible ambush points. His mind raced, calculating angles and timing, while his instincts kept him alert for sudden danger. Every step mattered. Any mistake could endanger the villagers or the team. Zenitsu's trembling hands tightened around his sword. I can sense it nearby, he whispered. Inosuke growled, crouching low as his sharp senses detected the faint movement of something lurking just out of sight. Tanjiro signaled to them silently, directing Inosuke to cover the front while Zenitsu watched the rear. Nezuko shifted slightly, her presence ready to respond if the demon attacked. Their coordination was silent but precise, the result of countless battles fought together. The demon's trail led them to a narrow alley, shadows stretching long as the last rays of sunlight disappeared. Tanjiro's heart pounded. He could feel the tension thick in the air, the faintest whisper of movement alerting him to imminent danger. The demon, sensing pursuit, had grown cautious, weaving between buildings and hiding in the darkness, but its glowing eyes betrayed its position. Tanjiro's focus sharpened, his sword ready, every muscle coiled for the inevitable confrontation. Suddenly, the demon lunged from a shadowed doorway, fast and aggressive. Zenitsu froze for a split second, then reacted under Tanjiro's command, striking with careful precision. Inosuke charged with raw power, blades flashing, while Tanjiro intercepted the demon, guiding Nezuko to assist if needed. The clash was swift, coordinated, and tense. The demon hissed, its movements unpredictable, forcing the team to adapt instantly. Every strike, every parry, was a test of skill and trust. The battle pushed the demon back, but it was not yet defeated. Tanjiro noticed subtle signs of fatigue, its breathing, the slight hesitation in its attacks, and seized the opportunity to press forward strategically. Inosuke and Zenitsu followed without hesitation, their teamwork flawless. Nezuko remained poised, ready to intervene with controlled force. The demon, realizing it was cornered, retreated into the shadows, leaving only an uneasy silence behind. Tanjiro lowered his sword, exhaling deeply. The streets were quiet again,
but the tension lingered. He glanced at his companions. Zenitsu's fear had tempered into focused alertness, Inosuke's energy remained sharp yet controlled, and Nezuko's calmness anchored them all. The first direct encounter had ended, but the threat was far from over. The village, seemingly peaceful, hid dangers that would test their courage and unity in the hours to come. Step by step, they pressed onward, ready to face the unseen threats lurking in the darkness. Tanjiro's resolve solidified, each shadow, each whisper of movement, each sign of danger was a call to vigilance. Together, the Demon Slayers advanced, prepared for the challenges ahead, determined to protect those who could not defend themselves.